did it.
End of story. According to Lanny Davis, Chief White House correspondent Ed Henry broke this story. He joins me now, and Steve Hayes, senior writer for the Weekly Standard and a Fox News contributor, joins us as well from Washington, D.C. So, you heard Lanny Davis there,
Sure.
Ed. He says this is the procedure. You run it up the flagpole. It was an aide. It wasn't Bill Clinton directly. Not a problem to ask if you can give a speech.
Sure, and that's what the Clinton camp told me as well yesterday, which is that basically there was a process, run it past the State Department, and they did this as a matter of course. Okay, fine, that was the procedure, and maybe the procedure worked because, we should point out, the speech never happened. But the idea that the former president's office brought to the State Department even the possibility that he would deliver a paid speech to the National Iranian American Council, which has been seen as the lobbying arm for Tehran. They've denied that, but they've publicly called for the end of all U.S. sanctions against Tehran. This was, by the way, in June of 2012. What happened in July of 2012? Hillary Clinton's top aides started meeting, while she was Secretary of State, secretly with Iranian diplomats about paving the way to the Iranian nuclear deal that we now have on the table, and, yes, ending U.S. sanctions against Iran. So the idea that as she's Secretary of State, her spouse might have been, and I don't know, might have been, or was proposed to have been paid for a speech to a group that was pushing for this and lobbying the State Department and others, it at least raises questions that are uncomfortable for the campaign. Think about this also in the context of, we've previously reported on speech requests that Bill Clinton's office put into the State Department involving a group tied to North Korea, the Democratic Republic of Congo. At some point, it just seems odd that someone in the former president's office didn't say, some of these are a little icky. Let's not even send them to the State Department.
Poll. Yeah. Exactly, especially when your wife is Secretary of State. And we know, as you point out, new revelations about how involved she was in the early stages of this Iran deal, which no doubt is going to become an issue
major policy
when
shift.
She gets further in this process. People are going to start saying, well, Hillary, tell me a little bit more about how you arranged the Iranian deal and got it off the blueprints in the beginning of all this. Well, what's the impact overall? We've been looking at her recent polls. Does it feed into this narrative about them being sort of, tied into all of these different potential money sources for the foundation?
It could, simply because there's one word that sort of underlies this free fall in the polls, if you will, which is trust. And that's what she's lacking right now. And you see that in that Washington Post poll that said Democratic-leaning women, she lost 29 points with them in the last 2 months alone. That was supposed to be the bedrock of her campaign. And the last point I'd make on that is, look, we're talking all this hype about, the second Republican debate. The Democrats haven't had a single debate so far. Not until mid-October.
Some of them are not too happy about it.
So, yes, some are not happy about it. And you know what? That ensures that Hillary Clinton doesn't get uncomfortable questions about speaking engagements and the Clinton Foundation for a long time.
For a long time is right. Let's bring in Steve Hayes, because the other sort of, tangential issue here is